Today we're checking out some low-stakes conspiracies. While some conspiracies are genuinely terrifying, these, as the name implies, have much lower stakes. Okay, here's a crazy one. Elf on the Shelf was created by the government to make the younger generations desensitized to being constantly watched. While Santa was always watching you from some far-off distance that you couldn't see, the elf on the shelf was in plain view, normalizing you always being watched. Thinking about this more, I suppose another example of this would be a baby monitor. I'm gonna be honest, I hate this one. The Mandela effect. This bizarre phenomenon is the public name given to the testing done on the public to see how much they can erase and alter both physically and digitally, and to gauge our reactions to it. Not only would this show how far governments could go with this technology, it would also show to them how much pushback changes would receive and how to adapt accordingly. With the advent of AI and other technologies we don't yet know about, we know it is very possible to change the reality in which we live. I've covered hundreds of Mandela effects on this channel, so this is obvious. History is written by the winners. Here's an interesting one. Vacuum cleaner companies make vacuums artificially louder than they need to be, because people subconsciously associate louder with being more powerful, and people want more powerful vacuums. Think about all the bank robberies you've seen in TV shows and movies. This next low-stake conspiracy speculates that these robberies are deliberately designed to misrepresent how to actually rob a bank. Why? Well, for one, it makes it so you can't actually rob a bank easily. And secondly, it makes doing so will more than likely get you caught. Lint rollers are specifically designed to leave a coating of adhesive on your clothes, leading to more dust and debris sticking, therefore increasing lint roller use. And speaking of the solution causing the problem, the goal of a dentist is to clean your teeth and keep them healthy. But dentists make way more money when your teeth aren't clean and they aren't healthy. Meaning, are dentists incentivized to sometimes find problems that aren't there? I don't know about you, but it makes me wonder. The idea of calling out and making fun of Karens was invented by big retail to put people off of complaining. If true, they essentially made being loud, annoying, and awful in public deeply unpopular to the mainstream. Honestly, this conspiracy is one I can get behind. Here's a devious one. All of those home improvement shows are funded by home insurance companies in the hopes that you'll make unlicensed and unapproved changes to your home. This way, they'll have a reason to reject any insurance claims you might try to throw at them. One that I personally believe in is the conspiracy to convince unthinking and uncritical people that the word conspiracy means a crazy person's imagination. This one is so malicious because it instantly makes outside of the box thinking a negative thing. If you suggest something outside of the mainstream belief system, you are an outsider. Now, most people don't want to be that, so they jump right back in line. Now, obviously, there are a lot of silly conspiracies and plenty that have been thoroughly debunked. But here's the thing, conspiracies, regardless of what you think, are real and they happen every day. Good, bad, and everything in between. In an attempt to get people to stop thinking about things critically, the word got hijacked and is now used to immediately discredit whoever says it. It's practically a trap to use the word, so you have to dance around it if you want to describe people planning things in secret. What about when you're at the airport and security makes you throw away any water bottles you have? The low-stake conspiracy here is that they do this to force you to instead buy overpriced bottles of water at the airport. This example proves that conspiracies are happening all the time. Yes, even comically stupid ones. What about the idea that antivirus software on your PC and phone is probably spyware that you pay for? I 100% see this one being true. The lines on laundry detergent cups are much higher than they actually need to be. The amount you should use is actually much lower than they tell you. The show Antiques Roadshow was invented by the upper class as a way to show off their ill-gotten gains, while disguising it as light entertainment. Essentially, they want to show off their beloved yet illegally acquired historical goods in a way that doesn't get them in trouble. Paper straws were selected as replacements for plastic ones by Big Plastic, so we'd associate more environmentally friendly changes with soggy inconvenience. Here's one. Big Bacon is making bacon thinner every year, so they can market to us thick-cut bacon, which is just the previous year's regular cut bacon. The anti-consumer act of shrinkflation strikes again. Less product for you, more money for them. It's a massive scam happening in every single industry across the world. By the way, I have an entire video on the topic of shrinkflation that's pretty good. It's called Why Everything Sucks Too. Check it out, link in the description. Fashion companies and handbag companies are secretly working together to force women to buy purses and handbags because their pants lack pockets. First they remove the pockets or shrink them down to an unusable size, then sell you a purse. It's all a scam. Here's one that I think is so clever and fun. What if Lisa Frank was a time traveler from the future who used AI art to create their massive brand? Or perhaps the generative AI models we use today were trained on Lisa Frank? Which one came first, the chicken or the egg? During the 2016 election, Disney was so confident Hillary Clinton was going to win, they began to build her animatronic for Disney's Hall of Presidents in Magic Kingdom, and when Trump won, they had to quickly rework it to look like him. This might sound unrealistic, but look at this photo. Try to tell me that this isn't an animatronic Hillary Clinton face, quickly redone to look like Donald Trump. Absolutely hilarious. And speaking of Disney, what about the conspiracy that Disney named its movie Frozen, so you don't get search results and articles about Walt Disney's body being cryogenically frozen anymore? It's as if they took a search term they didn't like the results of and created a new IP to cover it up. The new term blows up and takes up all the results in SEO. So now if you search Disney Frozen, you get the movie Frozen, instead of Walt Disney being frozen. That might seem like a silly example, but I've got more examples to back up this claim. The term inside job is very suppressed, so much so I can't even say what I'm talking about here. If you know what I'm talking about, you know how that content has been scrubbed from the internet. You are not allowed to talk about that stuff online without having an army of bots and censorship coming your way. Coincidentally enough, Netflix put out a single-season animated series called Inside Job and then quietly canceled it. It was an adult cartoon series about how silly and goofy conspiracies are. You see where I'm going with this? Now, when you look up Inside Job on any search engine, this now canceled and forgotten show is all that comes up. Regardless of what you think about the idea of an inside job, you have to admit, that's pretty weird. Now let's check out a third example. There's a new show on Fox called Universal Basic Guys. This poorly animated show is about workers who lost their jobs due to automation and now get $3,000 a month universal basic income checks. Now obviously automation is a real concern going forward, and universal basic income is a potential solution. These aren't just speculative ideas. They are real concepts that are being explored right now. So why make this show? To talk about an important issue? No, it's to make fun of it and kill the idea in the minds of viewers before it even has a chance to spread. From the exaggerated $3,000 a month they receive, to the opening jokes about buying fine art because they have so much money and don't know what to do with it, it's obvious there's an angle here. Do you know of any others? Stephen Hawking's time traveler party was actually attended by many, but to avoid any accidental paradoxes from being created, it was reported that nobody showed up. A lot of the Pokemon games are released backwards. Red and Blue are set in the distant future where most Pokemon have become extinct. If this was the case, it would now make sense why the player is repeatedly sent out with a Pokédex to discover Pokemon that have already been discovered. You're actually being sent out to find out which Pokemon haven't gone extinct yet. Those massive billion-dollar Powerball lotteries are a scheme used by the government to catch time travelers trying to change the future. In fact, I made an entire video on this very concept. Check it out, link in the description. The 2016 clown scares. Do you remember this? In 2016, there was news story after news story about creepy clown encounters and sightings. These stories seemingly appeared out of nowhere and then they abruptly stopped. The news about them simply ended and no more press ever came out about them. None of them were ever solved or investigated further. Now there's a theory about all this, that it was a viral marketing campaign for the It movie remake that came out in 2017. No one has ever come forward to say yes, it was to promote It, but it's a pretty weird coincidence. This one I could totally buy. When Coca-Cola introduced New Coke in the 1980s, they did it intentionally to distract consumers from noticing they switched from cane sugar to high fructose corn syrup in the original formula. The idea is that people would complain so much about New Coke that when Coca-Cola switched back to their original recipe, they wouldn't notice the subtle difference in its recipe. Chapstick companies design their product to be easily lost. It could easily be in a square or a triangle shape, but then it wouldn't roll away and you'd have to buy another one. Another thing is that chapstick is made to easily melt. It could simply be made to resist heat better, but then you'd never buy a new one. Literal planned obsolescence. Not only that, sticking to the topic of chapstick, I'm fully convinced that chapstick purposefully makes your lips more chapped, so that you keep using it and buying more. It seems as if chapstick actually makes your lips stop producing moisture on their own, thus increasing your need for more. Rocks are actually soft, but they tense up when you touch them. Which one did you like the most? And do you have any low-stake conspiracies you believe in that I didn't mention? Let me hear them in the comments and check out the links in my description. Until next time, never stop searching.